Respected viewers, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our new series, The Sacred Nights of Fatimiya, with me, your host Ahmad Ali. And inshallah, in this series of episodes, me and my dear guest, Sheikh Muntadhar Al-Karbala'i, we are going to discuss and examine the life of Lady Fatima Al-Zahra, peace be upon her, as well as we are currently in the days of Fatimiya. So inshallah, we are going to examine why we have the reasons why we have three occasions of Fatimiya, referring back to the narrations from our great scholars and Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. So let's welcome my dear guest, Sheikh Muntadhar Al-Karbala'i. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhana.
Alhamdulillah, how are you? Alhamdulillah, shukr.
Sheikhana, I mentioned in the intro that we do hear and we do see a lot of Shi'a Muslims around the world, either Western countries, Eastern or Middle Eastern countries, they always commemorate three occasions of the martyrdom of Our Lady Fatima Al-Zahra alayhi salam. Why do we see three occasions?
Inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal-mursaleen habib ilah al-alameen bil-Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad wa ala ali bayti al-tayyibin al-tahirin alladhi adhaba anhum al-rijsa wa taharhum tathira wal-la'nu al-da'imu ala a'da'ihim ajma'een min al-an ila qiyam yawm al-din. First we begin in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. All praise be to Him, everlasting and omniscient, and we send our peace and blessings upon Muhammad and his holy household, and our eternal damnations upon their enemies. And as well, I welcome you, and I welcome my dear viewers that are watching us. And we also send our condolences to Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, and our pious Maraja, and the Islamic Ummah in general, no matter if you are a Shi'a or if you're non-Shi'a, no matter where you are right now, everybody should be reviving this occasion of Fatimiya. And right now we are in the, as you said, us actually, because you mentioned right now that we have three Fatimiyas. And just to tell our viewers right now we are considered to be in the third Fatimiya. And the third Fatimiya is basically the Fatimiya that happens to occur on the 3rd of Jumada al-Akhirah, or 3rd of Jumada al-Thani. Now, let's begin by dissecting your question. So the question is, the believers around the world, may Allah protect them no matter where they are, they revive three occasions of Fatimiya, or three events of Fatimiya. And the believers, they term these events as al-Fatimiyya al-Ula, wal-Fatimiyya al-Thaniya, wal-Fatimiyya al-Thalitha.
The first, second, and third.
Ahsant. The first Fatimiyya is the one that occurs in Rabi' al-Thani, which is approximately 45 days after the istishhad of Rasulullah al-Azam sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The second Fatimiyya is the one that occurs in Jumada al-Awwal, the 13th of Jumada, which is approximately 75 days after the istishhad of Rasulullah. And then the third Fatimiyya is 95 days after the istishhad of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And first of all, to say that the main difference here, or the main reason we have three events, is the fact that we have different reports, traditions, and historical sayings from the mu'arrikhun, the historians themselves. So when I say by reports, I mean either reports that are coming directly from the ma'sumin, the Imams alayhim as-salatu afdal as-salam, or sayings that come from the ulama themselves that have concluded the dates, or the historians that have given us dates. And inshallah, as the night goes on, we will further dissect this reason as to why we even have these different sayings. Does this saying, is this the result of the Imam? Of course not. But we'll discuss that inshallah in more detail.
Inshallah. Habibi Sheikhna, we did mention briefly why we have three occasions, Fatimiya nights, if you want to call them.
No.
We did mention, that it's according to our pious scholars' narrations and reports.
No.
But can you shed light upon the reasons why we have different narrations regarding? I mean, we do see one saying in Jumada al-Thani and Rabi' al-Awwal, and what's the significance? I mean, why three narrations regarding her blessed or her martyrdom?
No. Okay, so We know that the main reason, of course, is because of the traditions and the reports and or historical sayings. But why, the question is now is, actually before we even go into detail in that, let's talk about this. And this is an important piece of information for everybody. Let them know that even when it comes to, for example, the birth of Rasulullah and the istishhad of Rasulullah and the birth of the Ma'sumeen and the istishhad of the Ma'sumeen, as well as some of the companions and the outstanding characters from the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, even these, there is not a consensus amongst the dates. There is ikhtilaf, meaning there is different opinions on these dates. Rasulullah's date of birth, it's not a consensus amongst all the schools of thought. Same thing for his martyrdom death. The only one we can say bil-ilm al-ijmali al-yaqini is the date of the shahada of Al-Husayn ibn Ali alayhi salam, the 10th of Muharram. When it comes to Al-Husayn ibn Ali alayhi salam, the 10th of Muharram, on the day of Ashura, you can say that's the only date, technically speaking, that there is a consensus, 100% yaqeen consensus with certainty that it fell on that date. Even when it comes, if people might not know this, but even when it comes to Al-Husayn ibn Ali alayhi salam's birth, I mean the 3rd of Sha'ban, there are technically other sayings that have been reported. Of course, the ijma' in the last thousands of years, it's been the 3rd of Sha'ban. But there is still a difference of opinion, even when it comes to the date of Al-Husayn ibn Ali alayhi salam. Now the question to ask, where did this difference, or why do we have different dates? So we said, the Imam alayhi salam is mu'ayyid from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Imam alayhi salam is ma'soom min al-khata'. And the Imam basically is error-free from any impurity, either it be physical or spiritual. The Imam alayhi salam is, the Imam alayhi salam, for example, you see the Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in one hadith might say the 13th of Jumada, and another one, if you calculate it, you get the 3rd of Jumada al-Akhir. This does not initiate from the Imam. So, if we go back, we see that this actually comes from the rawat al-hadith, the narrators of the hadith, or the narrators of the tradition, and so on and so forth. So, what we need to do right now is kind of go in a very quick and short history into the period of transcription of hadith. Tadween al-hadith. Tadween usually means transcription. So Tadween al-hadith is the process of which hadith is transcribed. If we look after the martyrdom of Lady Fatima salamullahi alayha, and that was in the 11th year after Hijrah. If you pay attention, you didn't have, of course, some organization or anybody really transcribing hadith.
To document the report.
Most documentation of hadith was through a process called al-masmu'at. Meaning one person would orate to somebody else. For example, he would say to him, and when was Rasulullah born? And he would say, well, I heard from Fulan that Rasulullah was born this and this time. So, and of course, this is also, it's not because Islam does not encourage writing. Rasulullah used to always say, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, keep hadith and safeguard hadith by transcribing it. Or actually, knowledge in general by transcribing it. But if you go look back in time, especially during the times of Ibn Abi Quhafa, Ibn Suhaq, and Ibn Affan, what was the biggest problem? The biggest problem is anybody that would narrate hadith was burnt. And history records that, and it's clear cut. Nobody can, that's a different topic, but it was difficult. So it's not until the year approximately 70 to 80 after Hijrah when the first transcription process began. You can look at the earliest book of Islam, it's Kitab Salih ibn Qais al-Hilali radiyallahu ta'ala.
So can we say that's the main reason why?
That is the main reason.
Why we don't have exactly dates?
Well, there we'll see. We'll come to more. That's one of the biggest reasons. The fact that this period of transcription was very late. And as you said, the oration usually of hadith, sooner or later, the person will tend to forget or misquote. Even though the Arabs were known to be eloquent and to be very good when it comes to memory. But still, we're humans, and humans will forget no matter what. But of course, Allah still safeguarded some of these treasures for us. So that's the beginning. So we can say that it didn't really start until past the 100 year after Hijrah mark. The actual transcription. And the first book was probably the book of Sulaim, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayh. And then let's say now let's talk about the period that when it began. So the transcription of hadith began, okay? But was the transcription of hadith like we have today? Were they printing hadith as we have printed today? I mean, even the printers we have today, it's only been 200 to 300 years old. Before it was all also done by pen. So even the ink that was used, for example, or the paper that was used, it was subject to external forces. For example, weather. Weather can affect the paper and damage the ink. If you do not protect the document, the manuscript that was transcribed, and water damage or humidity would strike, it would also damage the paper. So that process also dealt a problem in terms of transcription. Then we come to probably one of the main problems is the fact that this process in writing, in Arabic writing, which is called tanqit. Tanqit is what? Is basically, you know how we have today when we're reading, everything is dotted and accents are placed and symbols are placed wherever we have, so it can help us read. Back then, in the Kufan manuscript, in the Kufan calligraphy, this was not introduced until later on. In the Kufan, if you go look at the Kufan calligraphy, you will discover that there was no nuqat, there was no symbols and accents placed on anything. So, for example, me, when I'm transcribing, say I transcribe from the person narrating to me directly. This manuscript that I transcribe with my pen and my paper, when the person after me who wishes to record from me, sometimes you might have trouble reading the language. Or for example, sometimes you notice some of the ulama saying, for example, they had trouble reading between the words. So, for example, in a portion of a hadith, you might have it erased off due to damage, due to some kind of external force. And this would be subject, of course, to him trying to fill out the missing spaces in the hadith, which causes a big problem. So basically, you can say that these are the predominant reasons to why we have the various like the mistakes we find, or not the mistakes, but because of the process of writing transcription was very slow. The way of writing as well was not as we have today. The ink was different. The process of tanqit, symbols and accents, it wasn't very clear. At the same time, the ulama had to work themselves hard to try to figure out as best they can how or what do we fill in these missing words. And I guess from this you can say is the major ikhtilaf, differentiation we have between all the ahadith, not just Lady Fatima Al-Zahra alayhi salam. And of course, let's conclude by saying this, so we don't spend too much time, that even when it comes to Fatima Al-Zahra, yes, we have 3 narrations. Those are the 3 strongest and main narrations. If you pay closer attention and you even look deeper and deeper, I've noticed some scholars have mentioned that when it comes to the ahadith of Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salatu after salam, there is approximately more than 8 narrations. So imagine, technically speaking, the believers, if they had the capability, they would revive all 8 narrations. Because there are some narrations that come from the mukhalifin. We shouldn't just also throw them away as well. You never know. Sometimes they can have some sort of hujjah, because it's always a date, right? Some of them say, for example, Ramadan. Some of them say Rajab. There are such dates. But we have concluded that around these 3 dates, and even these 3 dates, each one is stronger than the other, and each one is spanned over 10 days. And to end, inshaAllah, Mirza Jawad al-Tabrizi, may Allah rest his soul, may he rest in peace. He has a maqala, a saying once, that he said that it is incumbent upon the believers to revive the days of Fatimiya the same way they revive the days of Ashura. And they should make the days of Fatimiya 10 days as well. The same way they do Ashura and Muharram. Because there is a secret that lies in the days of Fatimiya. There's a divinity and a sacredness that only when the believer serves Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, he will discover this divinity and sacredness.
So definitely, I mean, now since thanks to you, we do get a better understanding of the reasons why we do have several narrations regarding the dates of the martyrdom of Lady Fatima Al-Zahra, peace be upon her. But once, if I remember correctly, I read regarding the reports that can be divided into 2. If I remember correctly, they can be divided into 2. One measuring the records, measuring from the time of the martyrdom of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his holy household. And the other is explicitly mentioning the martyrdom of our Lady Fatima Al-Zahra alayhi salam. And we do have many narrations regarding that, Fatima Al-Zahra alayhi salam, if I believe, one of the Imams, he says that Fatima Al-Zahra alayhi salam lived for a certain time after the martyrdom of her father, Prophet Muhammad. So can you share that with us?
Inshallah, inshallah. So yes, exactly what you read is accurate. And when it comes to Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, and the dates concerning her martyrdom, salamullahi alayha, we have two categories. And like you said, so one category mentions the time period from between the martyrdom of Rasulullah, which is the 28th of Safar or 29th, depending on the ikmal of the full month, 30 days or 29 days. So 28 or 29, measuring from that date until they would give the Imam alayhi salam or the historian or somebody else would give a time period, meaning he would say, for example, and 75 days after the martyrdom of Rasulullah, Fatima alayhi salam that's when she passed away. And then there is the next category of dates. The next category of dates is basically called Aqwal al-A'imma alayhi salam, or Aqwal al-Mu'arrikhun, or al-Ashab. So the saying of the Imam alayhi salam, when he explicitly denotes the dates, for example, he would say, وَقَدْ وَمَاتَتْ فَاطِمَةٌ فِي الثَّالِثِ مِنْ جُمَادَ الْآخِرَةِ, or وَمَاتَتْ فَاطِمَةٌ alayhi salam فِي الثَّالِثِ عَشَرٍ مِنْ جُمَادَ, or ثَلَاثَ لَيَالٍ خَلَوْنَ مِنْ جُمَادَ, something like that, where the Imam Sadiq alayhi salam or Al-Baqir or Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam would say, and Fatima alayhi salam died on the 3rd of Jumada, explicitly saying, not giving a time period. So what I have today basically is I have summarized. I haven't brought all the narrations. All I've done is I've collected the narrations, but I've only collected the references and the dates. So basically we can do this together for the viewers. And we have two categories. So inshallah, we'll begin with the category which basically speaks about al-aqwal, aqwal al-a'imma alayhim as-salam. So in this category, what we have is we will discover that in the al-Imamah of Abu Jarir al-Tabari al-Imami, as well as Masar al-Shi'a of Sheikh al-Mufid, for example, Misbah al-Mutahajjid of Sheikh al-Ta'if al-Tusi, Bihar al-Anwar as well, and Iqbal al-A'mal of Sayyid ibn Tawus. So now I basically gave us almost like going through history. Basically all we did is we started old al-Imamah, then we jumped to Sheikh al-Mufid, 300s, 350s, then we jumped 400, 500, and then we went all the way down to al-Majlisi.
Wow.
And all of these guys have narrated in these books of theirs. In the al-Imamah, there's a hadith that narrates that says the 3rd of Jumada. Masar al-Shi'a of Sheikh al-Mufid, he states 3rd of Jumada as well. In the other references, there are sources that say 3rd of Jumada. And from this we discover that the strongest date here is 3rd of Jumada.
3rd of Jumada.
Okay. Now, there is another hadith which states, that's narrated by Sayyid ibn Tawus and Iqbal al-A'mal, that says 20 of Jumada. Then there's another hadith in Kashf al-Ghumma al-Ardabi that says 3rd of Ramadan. And then there's one again in the Misbah of Sheikh al-Ta'if that says 21st of Rajab. But from this, the 21st of Rajab, 20th of 3rd of Ramadan, and the 20th of Jumada al-Akhirah. And the 3rd of Jumada al-Akhirah, the strongest one is the 3rd of Jumada al-Akhirah. And that is narrated by Sheikh al-Ta'if al-Tusi, by Sheikh al-Mufid, by Sheikh Abu Jarir al-Tabari al-Imami, by Sayyid ibn Tawus and al-Majlisi, and several others. So now, in category 1, we have concluded that the strongest date is the 3rd of Jumada.
So thank you very much, Sheikhna. Sorry to cut you off right there, but inshallah we'll continue the discussion in tomorrow's episode, if you will, inshallah. So thank you very much for joining us. So respected viewers, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I mean, we did come to some sort of conclusion why we do have the 3 dates. I mean, Imam al-Mahdi Ajjallah Faraj al-Sharif, may Allah hasten his reappearance, he explicitly says to Imam Hussein, he says, لَأَبْكِيَنَّ عَلَيْكَ بَدْلَ الدُّمُوعِ دَمًا, and I would cry over you, instead of tears, I would cry blood, and I would cry across the year. I mean, to consider that Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and Fatima Al-Zahra gave so much for the religion of Islam. I mean, it's important to get these narrations and just to commemorate the most famous of them, so we can revive the traditions of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and revive their life, so we can spread the actual Islam that Prophet Muhammad, Fatima Al-Zahra alayhi salam, and the 12 Imams died for. So inshallah, stay tuned with us for the upcoming episodes. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.